My dad always said, "The one who shows up deserves the reward." I visited weekly, helped with bills. My sister skipped Christmas 3 years in a row. When he died, he left everything to her. She's fragile, the will read. I filed a formal challenge, presented every calendar reminder, gas receipt, and grocery bill. The court split the estate. I got half. She got a wake-up call. My name's Darren. I'm 43. I live in Spokane, Washington with my wife, Janice. We've got 2 boys, both grown now. I work at a tire shop I've been with for over 20 years. It's not glamorous, but it pays steady. I don't ask for much in life, just honesty, respect, and some damn peace. I thought I had that mostly, until my dad died and everything I believed in got kicked in the teeth. Dad was old school, quiet type, taught me to fix a car before I learned to drive. He had this saying, told it to me my whole life, "The one who shows up deserves the reward." That stuck with me. I live by it, actually. Even when it hurt. After Mom passed away in 2015, lung cancer that came out of nowhere, Dad changed. He was never soft, but after she died, it was like he just gave up trying. He stopped going to church, stopped answering the phone some days. His house, always spotless, started smelling like old food and cat piss, and he didn't even own a cat. And guess who stepped up? Me. Lisa, my younger sister, was always the delicate one. That's how my parents described her since we were kids. Lisa's just more sensitive, Lisa's going through a hard time, Lisa's not like you. She got out of doing chores, got away with skipping school, and later, she got away with skipping out on family when it really counted. She lived about 40 minutes away in Coeur d'Alene. Still does. Her 2 boys are a handful, sure, and she's been divorced twice. The second one left her with a mess financially and emotionally. So every time she didn't come to visit Dad, the excuse was something like, "It's too much for me right now." Meanwhile, I was working 9 to 5 plus overtime when I could get it, helping my own kids with tuition. And still, I went to Dad's house every Sunday. Sometimes Wednesday nights too. I drove him to his doctor appointments, managed his meds, paid out of pocket when he couldn't remember where his checkbook was. One time, in the dead of winter, his furnace quit. Lisa couldn't come help. She was on a juice cleanse or something that week. So I left work early, drove through a snowstorm, and spent 3 hours under his house fixing the damn thing with a flashlight and frozen fingers. Didn't even get a thank you that time. But that was Dad. Stoic. But I thought he knew. I kept doing it. Every week. I fixed his gutters. I paid his water bill 1 month. I helped clean up when he started forgetting to throw food out. I found adult diapers hidden in the closet and bought them without a word. I helped him sign up for Meals on Wheels. I was there for the hard stuff. All of it. Lisa, she didn't show up for Thanksgiving 3 years in a row. Didn't even call on his birthday the year before he died. But when he passed, February 4th, 2024, she was right there. First one at the hospital. Crying so loud the nurses had to take her out of the room. I figured maybe grief had finally shaken her up. Maybe now she'd realize what she missed. But what really shook me came 2 weeks later at the lawyer's office. I went alone. Janice offered to come with me, but I told her I'd be fine. I wasn't expecting anything, really. I knew Dad didn't have much left, just the house, the old Ford Ranger, and maybe 10 or 15,000 in savings. But I figured he'd split things evenly. Carl, his estate lawyer, looked nervous when he sat us down. Lisa had mascara running down her face like someone in a soap opera. I sat there quietly, just waiting for him to start. And then he read the will. "Everything," he said. To Lisa. I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" Carl repeated it. The house, the vehicle, the checking and savings, all assets and property to Lisa Perkins. No provision made for Darren Clark. My stomach dropped. I thought maybe it was a mistake. But Carl kept reading. Then came the part that felt like a knife. Because she's fragile. That's what it said. In writing. Fragile. I sat there in silence. Lisa wiped her face and said, "I didn't know he was doing this." I swear. But I didn't believe her. Not for 1 second. I drove home in a fog. Didn't even remember the route. I walked in the front door and handed Janice the envelope. She read it and looked up at me. "Are you okay?" I wasn't. I went into the garage and just sat there for an hour. All I could think was, I was there. I showed up. She didn't. And she gets everything because she's fragile? No, I wasn't letting it go like that. That night, I started digging. Every calendar entry, every note I'd taken, gas receipts, grocery store printouts. I even found a couple text messages from Dad thanking me quietly, in his own awkward way. Janice helped me organize it all. I made a binder, then another. I printed statements from his pharmacy showing how often I picked up his meds. Found photos of me helping him into his wheelchair, cleaning out his fridge. I went to the neighbors, folks who saw me at that house every week, and got signed letters. When I was done, I had 3 binders. I took them to a probate lawyer. He looked through them for an hour and then said, "We have a case." We filed a formal challenge. Lisa didn't take it well. Lisa found out about the will challenge 3 days after we filed. She didn't call me. She sent a 3-paragraph text. It started with, "I can't believe you would do this to me," and ended with, "Dad would be ashamed of you." Nothing in it about the truth. Nothing about fairness. Just guilt and drama. I didn't reply. 2 days later, she showed up at my house. I hadn't seen her in person since the reading. She didn't even knock. She pounded on the door like she was the one who got robbed. Janice opened it before I could stop her. "What the hell is this?" Lisa asked, waving the lawyer's notice in my face. "You're suing me?" I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. "It's not a lawsuit. It's a challenge. To the will. He left it to me, Darren. Because I need it." I stared at her. She had her nails done, a new purse hanging off her shoulder. "You need it? Really? Then where were you when he couldn't bathe himself? When he forgot what year it was?" "You don't understand," she snapped. "I have kids. I'm a single mom." I shook my head. "No. You're a grown woman who didn't bother to say goodbye to her father. And now you want to play the victim. You think this is about money?" she yelled. "He trusted me. He knew I was struggling. Then why hide it?" I said. "Why didn't he tell me? Why didn't he talk to both of us if it was about what's fair?" She didn't have an answer. After that, it got ugly. Her lawyer sent a formal statement saying I was trying to exploit grief for personal gain. Mine fired back with a full accounting of everything I'd done for Dad since 2016. It was over 30 pages long. Lisa started messaging my sons, telling them, "Your dad is tearing the family apart," trying to turn them against me. They didn't respond. They knew the truth. The court date came quicker than I expected. We stood on opposite sides of the room like strangers. She didn't even look at me. I noticed she brought a friend, some woman I barely knew, probably to make herself look more fragile. Our lawyer presented the binders. The judge looked through the receipts, the emails, the photos. My favorite was one where I was helping Dad shovel snow in 2022. Lisa had posted a beach selfie that same day. I had the screenshot. Then the neighbors testified. One by one, they said the same thing. Darren was there. Always. The judge asked Lisa when she last saw Dad before he died. She stammered. Said something about Thanksgiving. "What year?" the judge asked. She couldn't remember. Neither could I. It had been that long. Her lawyer brought up her mental health, her divorce, said Dad wanted to protect her. But when the judge asked for proof that Dad was of sound mind when he made the will, it got quiet. Turns out the will had been made 3 months before he died. In that time, Dad had called 911 twice thinking someone broke in. There was a documented memory test that showed he was borderline dementia. And Carl, the lawyer who wrote the will, admitted that Dad seemed distant and foggy that day. It was enough. After 3 days of hearings, the judge ruled in my favor. The estate would be split 50-50ths. Lisa stormed out of the courtroom. I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. But it was justice. Not revenge, yet, but justice. But the story didn't end there. 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. Not from Lisa. From Carl, the estate lawyer. Apparently, there was a second version of the will. One that had been signed 6 months earlier. It named me as the main beneficiary, with Lisa getting a small portion. But that version had been replaced. Except, the signature on the newer one looked shaky. Not just old man shaky. More like traced. Carl apologized in the letter. Said he should have caught it. Said it might be forged. I stood in my garage again that night, holding the paper. Just like before. Staring at it. I knew what I had to do. I brought the second will to my lawyer the next day. He looked it over with a magnifying glass. Literally. His face got real serious, and then he said, "This doesn't look right." He had it sent off for handwriting analysis. Said if it was a forgery, we needed to act fast. In the meantime, he told me not to contact Lisa. Let him handle it. But I couldn't help myself. I didn't confront her. Not directly. I just sent a message, there's something off with the new will. You sure you didn't see anything weird when Dad signed it? No reply. Then a week later, my lawyer called me into his office. You're not going to like this, he said, handing me a file. The signature? The one on the second will, the one that gave Lisa everything? It didn't match Dad's known handwriting. Not even close. In fact, it looked more like Lisa's. Now, I'm not a man who throws around accusations without proof. But there it was, plain as day. A full report stating it was highly probable that the second will was forged, traced or copied from an earlier document. Same weird tilt. Same pressure marks. My lawyer was furious. This is fraud, he said. We can press charges. This could get criminal. But I paused. See, I remembered something. About a month before Dad died, I came over one Sunday and found him confused, sitting in the living room with papers all over the coffee table. He said Lisa had stopped by. She brought food, he said. Said she wanted to help me with something. But then she left in a hurry. He couldn't remember what they worked on. I assumed it was bills. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe that's when it happened. That's when I realized this wasn't just about money. Lisa knew what she was doing. She didn't just accept the will. She made it happen. And she used his confusion to do it. I told my lawyer I wanted to move forward, press charges if we had to. He filed a fraud complaint and submitted the handwriting report to the court. That kicked off a whole new process. Longer, messier, way more intense than the first case. This time, Lisa showed up to court with an entirely new attitude. Dressed in gray, no makeup, holding a Bible like it was a hostage. Her new lawyer tried to argue that she didn't forge anything. That Dad signed it in front of a witness. So the judge asked for the witness. That's when it got real interesting. The name listed? A woman named Mallory, Lisa's best friend. I hadn't seen her in years, but I remembered her well. She used to come to family BBQs and drink too much wine. Mallory was subpoenaed. She took the stand with shaking hands. And then she cracked. Said Lisa asked her to watch Dad sign some stuff one night. Said he looked half asleep. Said she thought it was just a medical form or a power of attorney. She never knew it was a will. And then she started crying. Said Lisa told her to keep quiet. Promised to help her out later. But now with court involved, Mallory wanted out. Lisa's face went white. The judge asked for a break. Everyone filed out of the room, whispering and staring. I sat in the hallway, hands folded, not saying a word. Janice sat beside me. She whispered, "This isn't just about the money anymore." I nodded. It's about what he believed in. And right then, I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. 3 weeks later, the fraud hearing reached its final day. By then, Lisa had changed her tune. She tried to settle, offered to give up the house and let me keep the savings, claiming it was all a big misunderstanding. Said she only did what she thought Dad wanted. But we weren't talking anymore through lawyers. Not after Mallory's testimony. The judge wasn't buying her excuses either. He called it what it was, manipulation and fraud against a vulnerable adult. He didn't sentence her to jail, though he could have. First-time offender, family matter, blah blah. But what he did hand down hit her harder than a jail cell ever could. The judge voided the second will completely. The court reinstated the earlier will, the one where I was the main beneficiary. Lisa would get $5,000. Nothing more. She broke down in the courtroom, actually sobbed, like someone died. People stared, but I just stood still. Then came the part one didn't expect. The judge turned to me and said, "Mr. Clark, you're entitled to press criminal charges for attempted fraud, forgery, and undue influence. Do you wish to proceed?" Everyone looked at me. Even Lisa. Her eyes red, face blotchy, hands shaking. And in that moment, I thought about everything. How she skipped birthdays, lied about the will, made excuses while I changed our father's bedsheets and wiped his mouth when he couldn't eat. How she tried to steal everything and still played the victim. But I also thought about Dad. He used to say, "Family sticks together, even when it's hard." I looked at the judge and said, "No, Your Honor, I'm done fighting. Let her live with what she did." That's enough punishment. But I wasn't letting her off easy. That night I called Lisa. She didn't answer, so I left a message. I forgave you in court, but don't mistake that for forgetting. You tried to erase everything I did for him. For years. And now everyone knows. You'll live with that, not me. And I hung up. I sold the house a few months later. Didn't need the memories anymore. Used the money to pay off my kids' college loans and take Janice on a real vacation for the first time in 20 years. Lisa moved into a small apartment across town. Word got around. Family, friends, even her own kids heard pieces of what happened. Nobody looked at her the same. She lost more than money. She lost trust. She lost me. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. Sometimes it's not fire and screaming and broken glass. Sometimes it's just you standing at the finish line, still standing, while the person who tried to rob you drowns in their own lies. Dad was right. The one who shows up deserves the reward. And this time I finally got mine.